So, I just saw the 1973 French-Czechoslovakian animated film Fantastic Planet, and by just I mean 3 weeks ago. I don't make reviews very quickly these days. Many people have already reviewed and praised the film. I mean, it's been out for 50 years. And I also found it to be quite interesting. I felt like I needed to make some twist on this review. So, without further ado, say hello to another silly VTuber avatar. This is not my end goal for the channel, but it is very easy to make a blue guy with no facial features. This avatar also looks like way creepier than the actual aliens in the movie. I'm just staring at my screen here and he's staring back at me. Anyway, it lets me review the movie from the perspective of the aliens in it. Le Planète Sauvage is a blatant piece of propagandizing that will only inflame tensions between the Ohms and us. It offers only a surface-level view of Draag culture that can be advertised as showing all perspectives, but in reality paints Draag culture as a ruthless one, and shows the Ohm libertarian movement as heroes, rather than the terrorists they are, determined to cause an existential threat to our race. Luckily, the movie was made for human audiences, rather than for the aliens from the movie, because it is absolutely biased towards the humans, who are its main focus. But its depiction of both alien and human culture is what made it interesting to me. Just quickly want to say I'll be kind of spoiling a few things in this movie, because I want to talk about the overall themes, and that's kind of hard to do without talking about some stuff. But I'm not going into specifics. This movie, if you are unfamiliar, is about an alien race, the Draags, on another planet, who keep humans as pets, but regard them as only mildly interesting creatures with no real intelligence. Human colonies in the wild are viewed as a nuisance, like a warren of rats, and are routinely exterminated when they grow too numerous. This may seem like a rather bleak allegorical story, but it is tempered by its tone, which is at once very serious and often very silly and comedic. I think overall it works very well, as the allegory relies on a bit of detachment from the story so you can examine what is presented, so feeling confused about the tone felt often intentional to me. What for some characters in a scene may be traumatizing is comedy for others. Take the opening scene of the film. A terrified human, or as they're called, Ohm, mother, clutching her child is running from a threat. What is the threat? A giant hand coming down from the sky from a group of giant Draag children who are toying with her as a game. While this story's main focus is on the humans, I think both sides of the story being characterized makes this stand apart from other allegories. Despite what I said in character as a Draag earlier, this movie takes some time to show Draags in scenes without humans too. I'm sure the actual aliens would think they're misrepresented, but it's important that scenes of their perspectives at all are in the story. Usually this type of allegory of the supposedly civilized versus the oppressed is told entirely from one perspective. In Animal Farm, we know human society exists, but the book is from the perspective of the animals. In Miss Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, we again only see the perspective of the rodents. Actually, that book/movie has many similarities to Fantastic Planet. Wonder if there's any cross-pollination of ideas there. But here's the thing about Fantastic Planet. The Draags aren't human, but they're clearly an almost human, not entirely recognizable society. There are many mystical things about their world that are not explained, but their institutions and schooling and behaviors are shown in the story, even if the proper context for them isn't. Meanwhile, the societies of wild humans are also shown, and they also have many mystical and unexplained facets of them that are alien to the viewer. The Ohms are in the state of tribalism without widespread culture. They fall back on chieftains and wizards. Many aspects of their society just really aren't explained. Either that or a mating ritual with women eating fruits that make their bodies glow and being chased into the woods by men is just a common thing in France. I just don't know about it. Anyway, I think that makes the film a lot more fascinating to have neither society be entirely relatable. While the story may not be entirely unique, there are a lot of things in it that were interestingly different, in ideas and execution, to make it worth seeing. And yet, I'm still dancing around what I actually thought of the movie from an enjoyment perspective. I found the movie interesting and engaging without loving it. The final 10 or so minutes have a huge amount of change for the characters and world, and the audience's understanding of the world building itself, and it absolutely came up too fast and was not very well explained, but I don't think it would have been improved if it were. It's science fiction, they don't have to explain everything, and I have read and seen many science fiction stories that are equally quick about their endings, with huge jumps and advancements at the end of their stories. The entire final book of the original Dragon Riders of Pern series, which I love, comes to mind. Jumping back to the Rats of Nim, it's the only similar story that avoids the pitfalls of a sudden societal advancement by having all that have already happened off-screen before the story actually starts. It's entirely believable that humans could learn new technology in a short amount of time. The whole point is they're an intelligent species, even if the Draags do not view them as such. I just think it's really awkward for the story progression and pacing, but it's not a major issue to the movie or anything. There is one other feature about the movie that is very distinct that you'll have already seen on screen. Its visuals. And not just the blue aliens. The backgrounds are surreal. The characters are extremely detailed, but also very stiff paper cutouts being manipulated instead of being continually redrawn. The look is very memorable. I can't, however, say the animation and style is like nothing I've ever seen before, because it looks shockingly similar to the animated segments of Monty Python's Flying Circus, which started airing a few years before. It's not identical. There's far more detailed animations in this movie than in the strictly cut-out style of Terry Gilliam's animations, but there is a clear resemblance, especially for the abstract backgrounds that look, well, alien. One other thing that reminds me of the Pythons, but is clearly just drawing from the same boat of ideas, is the amount of nudity in the film. To be clear, this is not a pornographic film. There's bizarre art piece animated movies that are also pornographic, like Belladonna of Sadness. But this is not one of those. Rather, the nudity here is used to show how different the society is from a modern Earth norm. The humans in the wild look like savages. The Draags have clothing that constantly exposes the breasts, and consequently I'm avoiding showing many drag women in this video, which is a bit of a problem for footage as one of the main characters is a drag girl. The animation also helps add to the varying seriousness of the tone. Between plot scenes, there's some short interludes showing fantastic creatures or landscapes, and these feel like the most Monty Python bits. There's multiple creatures shown to take gleeful joy in tormenting their prey, and some comically ridiculous world building, like weather that forms crystals that shatter if you whistle at them. The striking animation and visuals are why this movie was on my radar in the first place, and they absolutely help make the movie what it is. My last review of the movie Belle was very negative. I feel like if I was in a nitpicky mood, I could easily be as negative about certain aspects of this movie, but I'm not because I enjoyed the experience of Fantastic Planet a lot more. So I guess that's ultimately how I have to rate this movie. I like its ideas, I like its presentation. I have some small gripes, but the movie didn't jump the shark at any point. Most of its problems I don't even really care to elaborate on because ultimately they didn't affect my enjoyment overall. 8 out of 10. I recommend the movie. But if I have to complain, there was one aspect I did not like that was made significantly worse by seeing this film in a theater. In a lot of science fiction, there's a design question of how to make something sound alien. This movie went with my least favorite style of alien technology sound design. Shrill, high-pitched sounds. This movie has some ear-splitting audio that effectively conveys alien and unknown environments and technology and, more importantly, danger. But I would also never choose to listen to this sound design again in a theater. I am not a fan of loud, high-pitched sounds. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you liked this weird review, and look forward to other videos I have coming up soon that will probably be less weird but may also be about animated aliens.